It's a
Good.
great event. Yeah, I had a chance to shoot a 55 Oldsmobile down in Muscle Shoals, and that's kind of how it opens up. You'll be able to see all that next Thursday. But it's kind of a contrast of a musician coming to town. It's based on a true story. Dwayne Allman and two or three other guitarists that came to town, and they were trying their best to make it in the music business with, there in the Muscle Shoals area.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim Johnson kind of took them under his wing, and Dwayne Allman actually camped out in his station wagon in the parking lot of the recording studio. So this is kind of the story of that, just kind of combining a lot of different things. So my character is hitchhiking, and the 55 old stops and picks him up and another fellow Carroll Countyan / Henry Countyan, Mike Adams, which is on a sports show. He's a fisherman and a fisher's guide and a hunter from the area, and he agreed to be the driver. So he's driving the car. He's performing as a Marine veteran, and so he portrays a Marine veteran that picks up my character as a hitchhiker and carries me to the recording studio, and then I get my job and start working my way up through my career. And so 40 years later, we'd make a jump 40 years later, and the limousine's dropping me off the parlor, and we do the show. So kind of a time jump.
Yeah,
So it's fun.
absolutely. That sounds like fun. Well,
Yeah.
what other projects are you working on right now?
I actually just got in about an hour or so ago, a little over an hour ago. I was in Natchez, Mississippi, filming there. It's a 7-hour drive.
Oh, yeah.
And we were filming for a couple of things. A place called the Devil's Punch Bowl, which a lot of people don't know about. The wonderful thing about History Highway, we get a chance to cover stories that very few people know about, and so we did one on the Devil's Punch Bowl, and did another one on William Johnson, a freed man of color that became very wealthy and lived there in the Natchez Trace area, run barber shops and a big plantation, and he was a very wealthy individual, and so we have a story on him, and just people that's kind of lesser known characters of history. We like to talk about that. So that's where we were this week.
All right.
Awesome.
So I'm anxious to get back to editing. So when I get everything back to editing here on the music video, so I can come show you ladies what it looks like next week.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, we'll be here
So-
next week.
Have you all heard of the Devil's Punch Bowl?
I have never heard
See,
of
I'm
the
gonna have
Devil's
to look
Punch
that
Bowl.
up.
Have
I've
you?
never heard of it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's quite the
What is
story. You need to read about it.
I don't know.
What is
need to
it?
read
I
about
mean,
the-
actually, is it a place?
It was actually during the Civil War, and a lot of the individuals, a lot of the blacks that were trying to get out of the way of the war going on, they wound up in Natchez, Mississippi as refugees.
Oh,
The Union Army didn't know what to do with them, and they found this. It looks like almost like a meteor crater. It's right next to the Mississippi River.
oh,
And
okay.
it's a big gully, and they actually let them live there, and the Union Army posted guards around the top of it,
Oh,
and
Yikes.
a lot of them died there, and it's just one of those lesser known stories. That,
Oh, my goodness. How terrible.
Wow.
Yikes. I guess it
And,
was like a
years-
Devil's Punch Bowl. Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, that's kind of where it got its name, because there's so much bad things happened there, but
Uh-huh.
it's one of the pieces of history that's just almost vanished. So
Wow.
yeah,
Well,
they don't
that's
even have
crazy.
a sign that you have to know where you're going to find it. But we went on location and shot some yesterday right on the banks of the Mississippi River. It's a pretty
Well,
cool
we're
story.
finding that a lot. You always have to know where you're going to find anything good. And April's the one that usually always knows what's going on around here. It's unbelievable. Well,
Yep.
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Looking forward to next week and having you on and hearing all about it and hearing your music. So thank you so much for calling in tonight.
It's great to be
yeah,
here.
we'll all
By
be here to
phone.
Yeah,
Yes.
support you. We love
you
it. Okay.
See
Yes.
you. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So let's Okay, so now it's your turn to share.
Okay.
That was really interesting. I'd never heard about the Devil's Punch Bowl, and people actually died in there.
Me either.
And they had people stationed around the top of it. And he said Mississippi, right?
Yeah, Natchez. I believe is what he said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
So yeah, you may. I doubt you could have heard some of that, but yeah, unfortunately, but
yeah, I was just,
yeah,
I was just
yeah.
hanging
That's-
out.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
And looking beautiful.
she's a good hanger
I'm
out.
just,
She's good at that. Oh, our producer said he was wondering why you look so lost. Because she couldn't hear it.
because I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, she couldn't hear it enough. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But that's okay. So, okay. Let's give the floor to Ann.
This is what I would like to share. I would like to recommend a book that I just finished listening to, and it's called A Letter to the American Church by Eric Metaxas.
Okay.
And it's a must read or must listen to. It's not been out very long, but it is so timely for encouraging Christians to not be afraid to address what is going on in our lives right now, in our nation, in our state. Don't feel like you do not have any place or authority to speak up for what you believe in. Don't be scared into being quiet and not saying what you believe. Whenever you stand up, when we stand up for what is right, we could possibly be encouraging the other people that are sitting right there with us that are scared to stand up for the same things, encouraging them to be able to stand up for what they believe as well. And you know what? We don't even have to agree. But I think something that we've lost these days is the ability to debate how we feel.
Right.
And what we think about things. We need to be able to talk about things that we don't agree on and maybe agree to disagree or come to a consensus or have our mind changed a little bit or whatever.
Absolutely.
But as for me, and I know for you also, Terry, we do our best to base what we believe and what we do on the Word.
That's right. Always.
And I'm not going to say that I do that perfectly at all.
No one does.
As far as what I believe and always having the right answers from the Bible.
Right.
And man, I have a lot of questions. And
Yes.
I go to people who I feel like have answers. And I don't always go to the same kinds of sources.
Right.
I want to get a good view of what all's going on and try to make a wise decision.
That's
But
right.
the point is, and I have listened and re-listened to some of the chapters in this book because it is so good. But the main thing is, maybe you were born in this time. I'm not going to say maybe. I'm going to say you were.
You were.
You were born in this time because God has a purpose for you right
That's
now.
right.
And the scripture that really addresses this is in the book of Esther. And it's chapter 4, verse 14. And Esther is the queen, and she is trying to get up the courage to go to the king to ask him to listen to her because she's going to, through God working in her life, save the Jews. And she goes through a whole process in doing this. But her uncle Mordecai says to her when she's, wondering if this is the right thing to do, and he says, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this."
Right.
So everybody has some sort of influence.
Right.
Even if you are a stay-at-home mom with your children, who knows that maybe the things that you're passionate about, that you're teaching your children about, is going to raise them up to be a leader in some area.
That's right.
someday. Don't ever think that you do not have an important enough position to use your influence, because that's the first and most important place to use your influence in the first place, is in your home with your family. And from that point, though, if you are in a job and you know that you're going to be faced with things that you don't believe in, are you going to have the courage to stand up for what you believe and trust God as you stand up for what you believe? And you can even ask Him for wisdom to stand up for what you believe in situations. But there may come a point when you have to make a choice between your job or falling in line and doing whatever it is that they're requiring you to do. I hope and pray that God guides me in wisdom to always walk with Him and trust Him with the results.
Right.
He can provide for me. A lot of times we're just scared to say something because of our reputation. And I don't know, there's a lot of issues that you could be passionate about right now. And I heard somebody say today that, what is it that makes you angry? What is it that gets your blood boiling? There's a lot going on right now, but if there's something that really speaks to you and you feel passionate about, that's your calling.
Yeah.
That is where you need to get involved, to speak up and to take action, and you don't have to know exactly what to do, but just take a step to get started. And that's what we did with Tomorrow's Hope years ago.
Yes.
It's been over 20 years. And God burdened my heart for women who were in unplanned pregnancies. And I didn't have a clue what to do, but I just went to my church and I said, I don't even know what a crisis pregnancy center is, but I'm hearing about them and I feel like we need to do this.
Absolutely.
And and just stepped out in faith, asked the church, if there were any people there that wanted to help, to please get involved. We formed a steering committee, and God just put people in my path that gave me information that I needed, and surrounded me with people who knew what they were doing.
Yep.
And then eventually, now today, it's all, what I'm saying is I didn't do it. I just
God
was
did it.
obedient.
He used you.
He used me. He did it because
Yep.
I didn't have the skills. I didn't know what it was that needed to be done. But that's what I'm saying. If you have a burden, step out there, put yourself out there, and see what God does with it. Because now, Tomorrow's Hope, it's amazing.
Yes, it's
awesome.
wonderful.
And it's not, I'm not even a part of it except for being on the advisory board. And they don't need any advice lately. So...
Well, but how true and how wonderful that you obeyed. You heard, you had this heart for this, and you knew. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in your big story, and it's a beautiful story. But the thing is that you listened and you obeyed. You just got up and started seeking out people to help you bring this to fruition.
Right.
And it did. And Angie, I'm not kidding you. Just think of all the different people throughout these years it's been going on.
Right.
That because of your faithfulness, this exists.
Yeah, all glory to God.
It's amazing.
But also it makes me wonder, Lord, what's next?
Yes.
What is it that you're wanting to do?
Yeah. He's always got more.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can zoom in on this or not, Kevin, but this is just what the book looks like, Letter to the American Church.
Yeah, I don't know if that can.
Let's see.
Oh, there you go. Kind of. Letters to the American Church.
Yeah. It's by Eric Metaxas. And I'm telling y'all, it's wonderful. You're going to want to re-listen to chapter 10, chapter 13, 14, 15, 16.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome.
When it's good, it's good.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you. That really is very true. And, it's funny. I look at that the exact same way. There's been so many times the Lord has used me. And we've just got to have faith and obey.
Yes.
That is the ticket. And so many things have come to fruition and so much fruit happens when you do this. And, you know, I would always say, I'm no one significant, I'm nobody special, but the Lord uses nobody special all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yes.
And I read today that God chooses to use the broken people, you know, the people that have had the harsh life or the difficult situations. And He does that for a purpose, and that's to humble the proud.
Yes.
And the wicked. And I've said to the Lord many times, well, I know you've got a good, you know, humorous side. You saved me, and you keep using me.
Exactly.
Over and over and over again. You know, and sometimes I just think, wow, you know, the life that He chooses for us, if we'll just obey and walk through it, it is more than amazing.
Yes, it is.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. There are no words, really.
Right.
But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And there's one that just made me think of something else that Eric Metaxas says in his book. He talks about the parable of the talents.
Yes.
And God gives, or the master gives these servants these talents, and then years later he comes back and he wants to see what they've done with their talents. And, you know, 2 of them invested them well, but 1 hit them.
Right.
I had never thought about what he brings out in this.
Yes.
But it's that the reason that he was angry with the one that did nothing with the talent was because that person, the other 2, they trusted that they could treat the talent as if it were their own.
Right.
They could
because
do unto others as they would have done to them.
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
They were trusting that their master was going to be pleased with the effort that they put forth.
That's right.
The one that did nothing, he said, actually was looking, and he says this, you know, I knew that you were a hard taskmaster and that you expect so much, and, you know, basically I was scared and I didn't want to do anything. He said that whenever we don't use what God gives us to do,
that's right.
Whenever we don't trust God, we have stepped into basically work.
Sin.
So the 2 that did what they were supposed to with the talent, they were operating under grace.
Right.
They were trusting that you gave this to me, and I'm gonna.
That's right.
I'm going to do what it is I'm supposed to do with it. This one that did nothing is operating outside of grace.
Yes.
And
that's right.
actually not loving God, but hating God.
Yes.
And taking on, I'm going to have to do it all myself, or it's not going to be good enough.
Right.
Kind of attitude, you know. So I was like, I have never thought of that like that before.
Yes, and that teaching has been so near and dear to my heart, because I, having that powerful experience with the Lord, He gave something to me. I reached out and it came into me.
Yes.
And so that validates that scripture so beautifully, and that God is always giving us something that He puts on our hearts that we should be doing. And when we don't listen and obey, and follow through, that is sin, and it's just totally sin. It's selfishness. We're living in fears. We're not living in trust.
Yes.
You know, we're creating all these boundaries that don't exist, but between our right and left ear.
Right.
And that's sin, because it's just not trust.
Yeah.
So I can't, man, what a good word, because I've actually been reading a lot of this in the scriptures, you know, different thoughts that bring you to this idea. And I'm so pleased that you shared that.
Yeah.
It's really special tonight.
And you know, if my daddy asks me to do something, I'm going to do it.
You're
and I'm not
gonna do
going
it.
to worry about it not being perfect. And, I know we can talk about it while we're going through it.
That's right.
But like, if some random senator, you know, gives me some job, I might be like, I'm going to screw that up.
Yeah.
How do I do that perfect? You know, and that's the difference.
Trust
do you have
and
a
obey.
relationship with this person?
Yes. Yes.
Or are they somebody foreign to you?
Right.
And when you have a relationship, you're walking in trust. And that's why God says to the ones who play church and play religion, that after you die, whenever you meet Him in heaven, He says, depart from me, I never knew you.
I never knew you. You didn't listen.
Yeah. And they say, but we did all this work. We called you Lord.
There's
we
going to
did
be a
all
lot
this
of
work
that
for
screaming
you.
going on.
Yeah, we did all this
my
stuff.
goodness.
And He says, I never knew you. You know, it's all about that relationship and that trust. Not
That's right.
perfection, but
That's right.
walking with God and knowing Him and Him knowing me.
Yes.
So,
And these different gifts will come at different stages of our lives. When I was younger, it was all about leading people to Christ and that and helping people, you know, and all of that. And, you know, I don't know, I'm sure you know, have plenty to say about all this too.
Jump right in.
Yeah, it's just amazing because we're not always going to do it perfect. You know, we're not always going to do what God has maybe given us to do perfectly. We may make mistakes, we may fall, we may stumble, we may have insecurities, but faith would move us on. You know, it'll just move us on and cause us to seek Him when we're so lost in it or even confused in it. Many times God has told me to say something or do something, and I'm like, this is going to cost me, and you know, I'll lose more. Yeah, you know, but whatever. If that's what we're to do, that's what we're to do. You know,
I
and
just say He always has your back.
He always
yes,
has your back.
He does.
Always has your back.
He
Yes.
does, always. We're never alone, and He never leaves us or forsakes us, and even in these times. But what a good word. You know, I know that every person out there is being called by the Lord, because if you're a Christian, you're being called.
Right.
You know, it's not just a coincidence that you're just going to be a Christian and float on some cloud and never do anything. You have to be active in your faith, and you have to confess in your faith. And what is it to be a Christian? It's to be a disciple of Christ. And what is a disciple? To lead people to the Lord. And that I do no matter what I'm doing. And I have a lot of different things that I do, like the paranormal or the UFO things or that, but I have a plan. And, you know, and God works that plan through me. And it might not appear to be, I know I get judged a lot for what I do because it's unconventional, but God called a lot of his people to be very unconventional and do things the way that He wants us to do it. And that's how I'm doing it, you know, to help people. And what a great word. We could go on for hours on this. It's just so deep. It's a very deep subject on, you know, our personal faith and how we obey, how we listen. And, but thank you. I do want to move on. Simply because we've got so much to talk about still. And we have a Dave Vance promotion, and he's the Tennessee Informer, and this next Monday, July the 3rd, wow, July the 3rd already.
Oh my word.
At 7 p.m. He's going to have Kathy Henners in, and she's an author and a speaker and a retired police officer. So they'll be talking about a lot of amazing things that are going to be happening, and it'll be right here in Studio B, in our studio here, and that is next week's show. So hope you can make that, hope you can tune in to hear all about that, and you can find out more about his back episodes that I know you're going to want to hear. And they're all right there at the Tennessee Informer. So if you've missed one, you definitely want to check in. And this is what we were talking about earlier. He is telling people what they need to hear about the political side of things. It is not a Christian's place to sit back and relax and let God take care of everything. He is not our Aunt Jemima. And He is not here to serve us. We're serving Him. He is our Savior, our God. And this man, Dave, is telling us what we don't hear or what we don't have time to read, you know, things that we just don't know about. And the normal person doesn't understand all these political things, you know. I mean, it's written so very few attorneys can even understand half of it. Why would we be able to, right?
Yeah, right.
So, you know, hopefully you'll go and listen to him on Monday, and I know you'll be very pleased if you have. And also, Keel Media is excited to announce that we'll be beginning of production on a new show called Paris Paranormal. Don't freak out. And here it is for Enigmatic Anomalies. It's coming soon, the Paris Paranormal Show. And I will be presenting that along with my good friend here, April Wilson. We'll be doing that, and you won't believe what we're going to be talking about and how it's going to relate to you. It's all true things that have happened that we should know that these things can happen in this life. But better than that, you should know how you should act when these things happen in your life and when you have these experiences. And a lot of people hide their experiences. They don't want to tell them. They don't want to share them because they're afraid they'll be judged or somebody will think, poorly of themselves. Well, shame on them. You shouldn't be judging anybody. You should be praying for people. But anyway, this is a really good show about the true local stories right here in Henry County. LBL, I know that we've got a lot of different things that we'll be talking about. So what do you think? What do you think?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And so we'll be talking about what?
Oh, we're going to talk about Bigfoot, and
Yeah.
we're going to talk about Dogman, and we're
Yeah.
going to talk about all kinds of cryptids and
Yes, wild horses.
wild horses, feral hogs.
Feral hogs.
What all's going on
The
that we
LBL.
don't know about.
Are y'all gonna have guests on?
Oh yeah, we're going to have people who have seen and heard and have witnessed, and
There's a lot of things going on that
Yeah.
are
All right.
just mind-blowing.
Call in.
If you,
Yeah.
I was one of those kids that camped in Piney Campground every summer, but there's other parts of LBL that it's a different story.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah, really. I mean,
It's gonna be
they're-
interesting.
You've got that look too. It's like, yep.
So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that
Me too.
because people don't realize that once you've had an experience like that, it changes your life. It's shocking to a believer, like even myself being a full believer on the worship team and everything and having a UFO experience, which was shocking. And then when I tried to talk to pastors about it, they judged me, and instead of listening or wanting to know, my gosh, what happened? I was traumatized. I could hardly wrap my mind around the experience, and I was pretty young. And instead of being received and loved and nurtured, drawn out, and helped, I was judged and cast away. And I thought, this is not how it should be, which is why the Lord gave me the ministry that I have, because it was so heavy on my heart that people that have had some of these, and I know you've shared with me very frightening experiences, things that it's like it's a domino effect. It plays on your heart so bad, and if you have nobody, not even the church, to talk to, and you're just going to get nothing but the back of people's heads in judgment, well,
All right.
I'm here to tell you, God is in everything, and He's got the answer to everything, and there's a reason for everything. And a lot of it is just in the scriptures, but we don't dig deep enough to get to the understanding part of that. So we'll be talking about the Nephilim, we'll be talking about things that are in Genesis, all the way to Revelation. And things here in this area that are happening to people who just have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And I will always be here for those people. That's my thing, as well as, everything else we're doing. So everybody's welcome, and people can call in, right?
Yes.
With their stories. Yep.
Anything weird, anything that you can't explain,
Yes.
we want to know.
Yep.
We want to know.
We want to know, and we'll do some due diligence. We'll check into things and,
Yeah.
check it out. We'll investigate.
We've got the people that know how to get all this done.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to be right there beside them.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And then another big news announcement is that coming this October, just in time for Halloween, is EnigmaCon at the Convention Center here in Paris. And big names in paranormal fields, from Bigfoot to UFOs and ghosts. This is the first initial announcement with lots more information to come. So please keep an eye out for that here on the Paris Paranormal Show and on Good Day Paris's Facebook page. So we are really looking forward to this. EnigmaCon has been around for about 15 years, I want to say, and we've held different things going on in Florida, and now we're coming here. And the thing that I love about it is we can talk about how this does actually work into the biblical understanding of what is happening. There are answers. There truly, truly are. We just need to stop long enough to take a look at them. And so we'll be presenting a lot of this, and hopefully you'll join us and be a part of it and support us here doing that. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
A lot of information. But we also have one more announcement that we have to make, and we'll let Angie share her heart and what's going on with her.
All right. Well, tonight is my last show on Good Day Paris.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to say goodbye, and also just to thank Terry and Kevin. It's been a great experience. I first just came on to share a little bit whenever Patrick Smith was on here, and I never realized that it would end up being where I would be co-hosting with Terry or anything like that. It wasn't in the plans, but so I think it's been about 8 months now.
It has. It's been a great 8 months.
Something like
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been great. But I just have felt like there's been several things going on where I've not been able to come, and I am co-director of surgery at the hospital, and I have not been able to go until this last week to one of the hospital board meetings, and I feel like I should be there. And those are the same night that we do our show, and there's just other things going on that I feel like I need to be a part of, and then just I don't know. I just have to say that I have a wonderful husband named Vince. And I do want to be there more regularly for my family. And so I've loved Terry and Kevin and the experience of doing this. And there for a little while I was sharing things on Facebook, and I really haven't done that much since I've started doing this, and I do not know why. I don't know why. I don't
Busy,
know if this
maybe?
is like my brain space was full or what, but I may start trying to do that again.
Oh,
I don't
good.
know.
I
may,
hope so.
It's nothing planned or anything, but just, if I'm doing my Bible reading or reading a book or whatever, and I'm like, oh my word, I've got to share this, then I probably will. That's all.
And maybe you'll come back and visit us. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I
We'll
would
have to
love
have
to.
her back as a
Yeah.
special
Yeah,
guest.
you might want to go on an expedition with us.
Hey, I do have somebody in mind who's had some pretty crazy stories that I'll have to recommend.
Awesome.
Well, we're the right people to send them to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. From Buchanan, some stuff in Buchanan.
Oh, cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, it has been great, and I've loved doing this with Terry and Kevin, and
Yeah.
So.
Oh, we have so loved every second with you. Every
Thank
second.
you.
Yeah, we will
Yeah.
so love you and miss you.
But we're all still here in Paris.
That's right.
And you will see us still going out and eating
And I'm
showing
going
up
to
places
present
and-
her with her own cup since it has her name on it.
Oh,
And she can keep it. You can keep the cup, and
Thank
you can
you.
remember us in the mornings.
That's right. Thank you. All right.
So, well, thank you everybody for coming. And even though we hate to hear that news, we know God is up to something, And thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry that little thing wasn't working in your ear, but
That's okay. I'll see Rick and he'll fill me in.
yeah, that's
There we
right.
go.
That's right.
Yes.
And we'll also make sure that that's right for next time. Those things happen on a live show. It is what it is.
That's
how
right.
They
That's
say
right.
that. Well, thank you so much for coming, and thanks for watching. And don't forget to have a good day, Paris. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Y'all did really.